Today we have Osarodion with his company AERO AI, and these guys are, they're doing some really, really cool things out there in terms of in the specific area of geospatial assets and managing geospatial assets, storing them in a new paradigm, right? And essentially, they're using a gaming engine, Unreal, and storing the assets there. So it's a really, really interesting paradigm to interact and store with with your geospatial assets. So with that, I'll have Osarodion talk about it. Go for it.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. It's kind of hard to tell who's on the call and who's not. So I hope we could steer the conversation to the right direction for people to see. I think Tariq already kind of gave us the intro. I would not want to go over it again, but we kind of had this conversation what five months ago when we
Yeah.
showed what we were building. So it's good to again connect and give an update on that. So there has been product updates on our products, and also today we're actually excited to announce giving out a free product for some of you on the call or whoever is listening to this to download and start testing. Long story short, AERO AI really is a software developer, geospatial software developer based here in Las Vegas. And prior to starting the company, I've done a bunch of 3D modeling, been a drone pilot for about 4 years, primarily focusing on photogrammetry, LiDAR mapping, and modeling, and also a 3D visualization specialist. So I'd use game engines, Unreal, Unity for all kinds of visualization projects. And I always just thought it would be really cool to be able to leverage the immersive and interactivity of game engines to visualize drone data. And so we've been working on the simulated environment for geospatial assets for almost a year now. Mostly half a year, at least most of our efforts to bring this vision to become reality. And today I will be showing you guys SiEGA Light Viewer, which is just our standalone free application you can use to bring in a point cloud or an FBX 3D model once you've processed it. This is not a processing engine as of yet. It is more of a visualization and analysis platform for you to visualize whatever you've already processed. So, in just to jump into it, I will share my screen. Tarek, if that's okay
Yep,
with
go
you,
for it. Yep,
let me know.
let's have it. Share your screen, and I'll push it out here.
Okay. All right. Well, the first thing I'm going to be sharing is what is our light viewer. This is a very simple application that you can use to visualize the drone models or any 3D model really that is you can export out in FBX format. So I'm gonna share my screen here. One sec. If it will let me. Uh, Share screen into a window. I'm sharing, so you might want to let me know.
I can't see anything yet.
You can't see anything yet?
No, no.
Says I'm sharing. You might want to bring up my
Oh, there you
screen.
go. Hold on. There you go. Perfect. I think we're good here.
Okay. So while we were talking, I actually just loaded this up as we're behind time. I wanted to start showing us what we could, just what a data set would look like. What you're looking at, this is SiEGA Light Viewer. There is a couple of features in here. I have just imported this mesh model, created actually is a
Hold
photogrammetry
on.
model.
Sorry. Hold on. Give me a second. We have...
Can they see it now?
They can. Yep, they can see.
Okay, cool. All right, so just to back it up a little bit, this is SiEGA built SiEGA Viewer built on the Unreal Engine 5, and basically, like I was saying earlier, I had just imported this model um, so that we could have something in here as we speak. But if you wanted to do the same, I'll just quickly run through a couple of things to bring a model in here. You can bring an FBX model, and Tariq, we talked about this. Once you finish processing, whether it's WebODM, whether it's reality capture, Metashape, whatever you use, typically most of these software programs, you could get out an OBJ or an FBX file as the preferred set of like 3D model that we kind of support. But moving down the line, we want to support OBJs and all kinds of other 3D models, even with 3D tiles as well. In fact, that's the direction we're headed, where you can load the 3D tiles and it's geo-referenced into the environment. But for now, this free viewer is for people to kind of visualize the models real quick in Point Cloud and walk around it, understand our UI and the functions and the features that are in there, and see if you're interested in the globe, which is the geo-referenced environment where you can bring in more data sets with more feature. But for now, this viewer, once you open it, will typically be empty, and you would just have to, again, like I said, import an FBX and OBJ or an LAC file in here. And once that's done, you see something that looks like this. I just want to go through a couple of things that we have here. You have this time of day slider that really just sort of
So
helps you visualize the data on the different, I guess, sun conditions, or almost kind of like a mini solar analysis. We got this.
so this is really interesting. You could I'm just curious here. So let's say you have the solar guys who are installing on roofs, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you create a model of a building, right? Can you lay it out such that the it's actually true north south, and then the solar you can see that kind of exposure here?
Yes. So not in this viewer because it's a vacuum basically. This is open world. But what I would be showing you next, which is our globe viewer that has the true north and has
Awesome.
actual sunlight based on
Yeah,
the direction of the day. That's something that we currently have. So the lighting and the sun is actually based on real world light. And I'll share that with you shortly.
that's very cool. So yeah, just one quick thing just to talk about it here is, guys, what you guys are seeing here again, just to reiterate, it's we have already in the drone world and stuff, we have seen these uh, uh, environments where you can interact with your models, right? This is another environment, but this is running on a gaming engine, right? And so that's the real powerful change here, is that it's running on a gaming engine. It's a totally new way, a different way of interacting with your models, as you can see. What you can do here, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Yeah, absolutely. So it's in the power of that game engine is that we can always build game mechanics different ways, but also real world tools that you would need when exploring a drone model or any 3D geospatial model is something that we're also building in here. But before that, I was explaining basically some of, I don't want to have to go through all over each feature because I don't think we have enough time. But so next I want to jump into is the navigation modes. So you could fly around using your arrow keys or WASD if you're a gamer, or you could also go anywhere. And this even gets more exciting with the globe viewer because you could go anywhere in 3D and walk around in the world just
I think
without
that's
necessarily
the
bringing any
coolest part.
geospatial data. So
I
whether
feel
this
like
is a
that's so
construction
cool.
site, whether it's a pipeline, whatever you feel like you need to have that kind of like eye level, person level view of your data sets, this is a way basically you can just walk around the data. And currently, because it's a free tool, we kind of have our logo here. Don't I know it's kind of like we're plugging ourselves, promoting ourselves, but if you wanted to have your logo behind the avatar or a custom avatar that kind of represents your clients or your project needs, that can also be built as well.
Yeah.
But all you do here is not you. not just walk around, you can also do more. Like I said, you could take renderings, so you could render an image, a 4K image. So I'll just quickly do documents, do select, and if I
Okay,
go,
while you're doing that, there's a quick question. So curious about file size and rendering settings. Is it rendering on the cloud or internal hardware?
so this is a local rendering. It's just you choose a location, so you choose like your desktop. Again, this is a Windows application as of right now only. So you choose, like I said, you choose the location first, and once you choose the location, you hit whether you want a 4K rendering or you want a 1080 rendering. So in the case of what I just did, I hit 4K rendering. This is what it looks like, the image, right?
Yeah.
But you could also have, so that's just for rendering. So you have rendering up here. You have, and again, this is if you imported multiple assets in the same scene. This is even more important if we imported a drone data into the globe viewer. But here, if you wanted to just scan screenshots out, that's one way to view your data. Um, Also, for those that are not gamers, if you wanted to know how to navigate around the project, we have this little keyboard here. You can always pull it up to just see, hey, how do I walk forward and back and jump and fly and interact? All of the keys are here, key bindings. This final kind of settings is for your LiDAR point cloud budget. So LiDAR can be a little expensive to run on a computer. So depending on your machine, you can use this. This is not a LiDAR point cloud. This is actually an FBX model for the sake of this demo. You should be able to use this settings to control the point cloud density, just to, kind of give your computer some breathing room.
Yep.
So those
Yep.
are really the main UI on the actual main UI. We also have something called the viewer tools. So if you hit control button, you have all of these tools, and I'll go quickly over them. But on the top right here, you have a way to save things that you might have drawn or left in here as based on annotations. I'll give you I'll give you an example. So first thing that we could do is create a text. So we can make text annotation. Like for instance, you could tag anywhere in the actual model. I'll just throw something in there. And this could be your model. This could be anywhere in the world. Site belongs to Tariq, something like that. So you could use this to leave comments on the construction site, or leave, just annotate your your model, right? And again, it's procedural. I guess that's the word to use. That means it can basically scale to how far you are from the thing. You can walk there and see exactly what's being tagged. So if you're working with a team and you wanted to sort of, share information around this model, that's something you could do as well.
Very cool.
Um, Another thing you could do, yeah,
No,
was
sorry,
that?
sorry. No, go ahead, and then I'll ask the question. Go ahead.
All right, one sec. Another thing you could do here is take measurements. As of right now, we you can take I guess linear measurements in imperial and metric units. So you could click on here and oops, I need to do that again. Go add, click, and you can really go anywhere in the data.
And obviously, this is only just as accurate as the model you created, right?
Yep, this is as accurate as the model you actually bring in. Um, So if your model is really accurate, it's basically just taking points from that model and giving you the drawing. So most times these drawings are fairly accurate. So you can have measurements as well in there just to measure things. You can change it to imperial, and you could change it to metric, right?
Yep.
In addition to those annotations that you can have. Another thing that we added here is a way to save views. This is not the biggest model, but for some models, it could be fairly large. If you wanted to kind of like, have certain places where you want to go back to, that's where this bookmarking, bookmarking feature comes in. So
Nice.
I'm gonna hide this. So you could go create bookmark and just say, let's do view one, for instance. and come here, and let's say you do view 2. This is just to create views around the model, saved views.
Right.
And now if I go back to view 1 and I go back to view 2, I can see
Nice.
it. And this could be literally anywhere in the world. View 1, view 2. Well, in the globe, not necessarily here. Globe
Yep.
kind of works differently. Um, Final thing I will go through over on this would be our draw tools. This one is not perfect yet because we're still working on it. So being able to draw lines, arrows, squares. So the line feature I know is still a work in progress. So you could draw a line, you could draw a circle. One sec. Yeah, you could draw a circle like that. You could draw a square, and so on and so forth. And you can save these things and walk around. So if you needed to annotate a specific area, if you needed to show or highlight a specific object in your model, that's something you could do as well. So
Great.
that kind of wraps up most of what I have. So the viewer tool, the viewer
Just
menu, expect to have. What was that?
sorry,
Sorry.
no, just before you move on, I had a few questions.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So one question is the software hosted online or desktop? And if it is online, does the 3D data rely on the user's PC or is it handled by cloud graphics?
So what you're looking at right now is currently running on a local Windows computer. But we can make a pixel streaming build for you, but it's not gonna be free. So this is what you get for free. So yeah, you can run this online. And the second part of your question was what was with the model? Can you
So
repeat?
if it is online, does the 3D data rely on the user's PC or is it handled by cloud graphics?
No, if it's online, it's based on a cloud-based PC. So that you basically online, you could technically technically run this on your mobile phone or even on an iPad or
Nice.
any super basic computer because we're basically at that point using pixel streaming technology. So the compute power is actually based on an AWS or Google Cloud server or something similar, mostly AWS basically, and you should be able to run that on any device that even on a Mac, right? If you don't have a Windows PC, but that
Right.
out of the box because of the cost associated with streaming the application, you would have to pay for that. But yeah, we have this ready to go on the web, based on a payment plan, basically.
Very cool. One other thing I wanted to clarify for the viewers here is, just if we compare this to, let's say, other viewers where you pull in an asset, right? You pull in a LAS file or some model file. Uh, over here, what you're seeing is actually it's a gaming engine, right? It's a full executable. When you add it to the file, and when you save it, it's saving it back to the gaming engine itself, right? It's not creating a separate uh, separate asset file or something, right?
No, no, it
So
saves it within the
and
local.
I think we talked about this. This is one of the things that you guys are going to be working on, where you have the gaming engine, and you can also have a separate way of separating the assets that you bring into the gaming engine versus something else. It's more like, you have your gaming engine; it's an executable, and then you have a whole repository of assets. As soon as you load in the gaming engine, you tell it, okay, load up all your assets, and it just brings it up. Right now, in the obviously this is in the development phase. When you save it, you're saving it back into the gaming engine. It's engine itself. So it's a matter of a feature that needs to be built.
Yep, looks like might have. So yeah, a lot of these saves happen actually in your computer. So you would still have the file. It's all local, basically. That's what I mean.
Right.
All right.
And you're saying like the next phase would be, how can I, if I have a model, I've tested it out in my local with the viewer. How do I share this with my client? How do I give them something to say, hey, here's it. Download this exe and load it up and get it going. And so that would be the next phase of this project. But still, this is really cool progress from, you pretty much have a pretty decently complete viewer that you can
Actually,
do a lot of things with it.
Terry,
I think.
just
Yeah.
to follow up on that sharing, because I know that's a feature we talked about, and I know it's going to be very important to share with your client. As it currently is, if you actually save the game here, um, I'm very confident, as if you save the game with this save, and then you zip up that zip file, you could send it to your client and they can open up the zip file and run the project. So that save would still be there. But the installer, and once you have it installed on your computer, it's only going to open within your computer. So in the perfect world, we want to share a link that you send them that link, they either are able to jump into the instance, or they download the application and just to view it, right? Whatever you're sharing. So it's still a work in progress. Again, this is almost kind of like a for your eyes only iteration of the application for you to just use and start experiencing your own data using a game engine platform. And I'm excited, if you're on this call, for you to try this. If you go to aeroai.io/SiEGA, or if you go to our website, you should be able to actually download this application right now, so to speak, the free one. So let's talk about actually georeferencing and going to different places and using the full, I guess, capabilities of a fully georeferenced geospatial
Yes.
application.
Yes.
So
This is very cool here. So this is the second version of your application, right? Same version, but with all the georeferencing. This is the cool
yes,
part, guys. Want to watch this?
so this is SiEGA Globe Viewer, and the reason why this is not free for clear reasons is because of what you're seeing right now on the globe. This is for a paid fee, because we have to stream in applications in here. What you're looking at, let me just give attribution first to Google. So Google 3D map tiles is what we're leveraging to put all of our georeference information on top. And these are like the same 3D tiles you see when you open Google Earth. So that's the attribution up there that I'm just showing. And you can always pull these up to see the attribution. Before I move forward, I kind of just wanted to show you, Tariq, that you can see the north arrow on the right.
Yeah.
It kind of works. It's not true enough, but it's close, right? But and I could fly to different places to sort of show you, how the model would work. So that model I showed you earlier, we also have, again, one of the differences here with the globe viewer and the light viewer is that you can literally search for an address or a place of a name and go anywhere. Before I actually go import a model to a site, I just want to go somewhere. Let's say we want to go to the Statue of Liberty in New York. You can type that in, you can hit go, and it takes you to that location. It takes a while to kick in because it's Google Tiles.
So let's just talk about what's going on here. You have a globe viewer that is built on a gaming engine. It's getting data from Google Earth and it's putting it in, and it's very similar to what you have in Google Earth, but this is the gaming engine version. And then you have assets being pulled in, right?
Yep. So right now, the same thing from what I've been showing you earlier. Nothing more exciting. You could walk around. You could visit anywhere and walk around. But now you're doing it in an environment that's actually physically accurate, right? All of those features I showed you earlier, they basically work here. So I don't want to go over them. But the thing,
it's just cool, man. Let's just walk around the Statue of Liberty a bit.
I
think
just
the experience of being able to. Like when you, I'd say like you put in, let's say, like Empire State Building, and you go to downtown Chicago or downtown New York, and the ability to just fly there, pull in all these assets that are drawn up, and then just start walking around. That's really interesting, right?
I'll head there. Give 1 sec. So yeah, New York is really cool for this stuff.
And so it's pulling these assets from, is it from Cesium or from Google?
This is Google Earth. This is Google Tiles. This is not Cesium.
Google Tiles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and again, these are all geospatial information, right? And the basis of showing you this globe viewer is what could be, right? And for now, I think we're just scratching the surface. And as we start to embed information, automatically load tiles through Cesium. So that's something we could probably talk towards the end of the meeting, so I could move forward. Where if you're using web ODM to process your data, that georeferenced information using a token, you can literally bring it in here, and it would be in the actual geolocation, right?
Exactly.
Same, if you wanted to see that this is actually geolocated, I'll just bring a box text, like just a small mesh model. So, and this could be your 3D model too, right? This is literally the exact same model that we, it's an FBX file. It could be any FBX file. It could be a drone model. But you could start to place things. But if you wanted to know, you could see, I don't know if you could see on the top right here. If I move these around, you can see the values changing, right?
Yeah.
You can see the longitude and the latitude changing. You can see the height changing. So, and this is in real time, right? So if you wanted to know an object's longitude and latitude, this is to let you know as we import this, we put a georeference tag on it. That so right now you kind of have to manually put it in place, but we didn't ship it with this current build. But we already have something implemented where using Cesium again as our geo reference company that we're using to sort of create this globe, Cesium and Google Earth, you can automatically tile your data on Cesium and pull it in here, and you will not have to move anything. It will literally just fall in place. That's not packaged with this build, but it's something that I know that we will put in our next build in a month or so. But
I think
so you could
that's
fly
where.
anywhere. You can go anywhere. You can take measurements of anywhere. I'll just delete this. Let's see what it would look like to put this on an actual site. So I'm just gonna show you that same data we were
The
just
same
looking at.
initial model that you had, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. It might take a while to kick in. Uh, all right, here we go. All right, I'm gonna go in, bring that in. Uh, Demo, historic website. And so this is how the the import works, right? So it's telling you it's important right now. I think this model takes about 25 seconds if it would not break. Not that we're on the call, to bring in here and basically just loading the model. This is a large model, guys. This is some of the cool thing. Let me talk about this for a minute. The advantage of using game engines, at least the Unreal with the nanite system, and the model I'm loading right now, I think is about 10 million polys or 15 million polys around that point. So we brought it in here. You can see it loaded, fairly quick, not too bad. And we can click on it, still building the collisions. So the collisions is basically what you would need to be able to walk on it, to click on it, to do all kinds of things. So it's just give me 1 second here. Yeah, here we go. So you would have to sort of almost rotate in place. Uh, but as you rotate and move, you can see that those values is still changing also, right? So if you wanted to put this over a
Yep.
site, um, you could do that as well.
So
I mean,
right
another
now,
thing I also wanted to point out is you can start to compare your Google. In fact, let me use this. One sec. You can start to compare your tiles with. Oh, it's not letting me zoom in and out. All right, well, I'm just gonna fly there. I'm gonna use the address sometimes. All right, so this is our model. I just want to give you and this is Google's model. So you could almost just, I call it Frankensteining.
there you go. I think Victory Osarodion had. Are you there?
Automatically
Okay.
reference information. But just for the sake of showing, like you can see cool thing here, but this whole map was done because of mostly because of this corridor. You can see it's still under construction. If I zoom in on Google Earth, it's not done basically. But if I pull our information up again, because I put it under, you can see that that whole corridor is done. And I can also like just, yeah, like jump in there and walk, just like I did in Empire State Building and the the Statue of Liberty.
Yep.
So
Yep.
this is where I think at least our vision for a single user, a globe user for what the geospatial information could be, is where you're not just only visualizing one data, you can visualize multiple data sets. So because this has been geo-referenced, I could go somewhere in New York, import something else, have it saved there. I can go somewhere in Chicago. You get the gist, right? You could have one place where all your geospatial data is, and we build game engine mechanics, right? So whether you want to drive a car around along this, take measurements, take stockpile measurements, visualize solar irradiance, right, of the sun. Some of the things we're working with Google
Yep.
API.
Yep.
Um, and all kinds of GIS information as well. But that's the globe viewer as is right now. You can run it, you can go anywhere in the world, walk around it, import your own data, walk around your data. That's something that I think you cannot do with Google Earth. But you can do it here with SiEGA Globe Viewer, and just start to see your data in the actual real world. And again, like I said, this is Vegas. This is It doesn't have to all be drone data and point cloud. It could be literally any model. It could be any model, any 3D model. That's why it's geospatial assets. Whether it's model created from
You could bring
drone
in
data
CAD
or
files.
created
You could,
from
at some point,
a
you can bring in architectural CAD documents as
Yeah,
well, right? Models.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you could bring an architectural model in here. If you flew for a client or an engineer and they have roadway projects, typically like this is a highway, common highway in Vegas. If you have a roadway file to put in here just to overlay, you can. But this program is technically only 6 months old, so we're working really hard to try to push it forward. We also just got an endorsement and a mega grant from Unreal Engine about 2 months ago to continue developing this software. So shout out to Unreal for that, and we're really grateful. And we wanted it to be perfect before putting it out for people to use, but we figured we'll keep building this stuff, and just because of where we are and where we want to take it, it will never be perfect. We want to keep adding features, like make it rain, like basically make it as realistic for real world as possible, but building these features to really make sense, right? There's no
Yep.
point putting in all this effort into something that you are not going to use, or it's not going to benefit the person's workflow, whether you're an engineer, a surveyor,
Yep.
a project manager, anywhere you may be. So we want feedback. That's what we're putting out the light viewer out free. So please download it, test it out, break it. Let us know what's not working right. Let us know features that could be built in more. Because honestly, at the end of the day, the light viewer and the globe viewer is coming together for our vision to build a marketplace. And I'm just
Yep.
gonna sort of end there with talking a little bit about our vision for a geospatial marketplace. So what you're seeing right now is mostly for an individual to go in and view things and add things. But think about a platform down the road where if you're a drone pilot in this call, you have an area within this application because the data is streamed. It's a light application. You have your data sets in there. You can also put it up for sale, right? Aggregating that data. I know Google uses manned aircraft or satellites to capture imagery for a lot of their 3D models. You could become a partner, potentially sending tiles to Google. So if you had a neighborhood or you had a project site mapped out, you could have your tile in here. You could have a store that anybody can fly into and download your data. So there's some people doing something like that around the world. I've seen a couple of people trying to build sort of like a geospatial marketplace, but oftentimes they are aggregating that data from people and selling it, right? But what we're envisioning for our marketplace is it's an immersive shared world where you kind of have your neighborhood. You own
So
your data
yeah,
sets and there's attribution to you, and that can be downloaded and visited by anyone.
so
Go
let's
ahead.
talk about that a bit, right? And just taking it back 1 second to this globe viewer, what we have here, right? excuse me, GlobeViewer application built on top of a gaming engine, streaming in live assets from Google Earth, all georeferenced. You can pull in your own models, whatever those models are. And obviously, the models are in development. You can add more and more different types of assets coming into this system. Now, one of the things over here is that as you bring in, let's say you're flying a golf course or something, as a drone pilot, you have a 3D model created. What you'd want is, the 3D model, ideally you just want to import it. It automatically georeference and locks itself up into place exactly in the XY coordinates for, let's say, for the four corners of that model, and you have it in place. Right now, we are not quite there yet, but it requires some work on your end as well, which is what you guys are working on, so that you can bring in a model. That model has coordinates that are georeferenced, and it immediately pops it right into place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and again, what you're having here is, imagine now you have this globe, you have this software. You can bring in all your different models across the world, right? And you can really populate this whole environment with all your models. You can search through it. You can do measurements in it. You can save the different models, the different states of this globe view. So in terms of interaction, uh, you have one interface where you're interacting with all your models. You're not jumping from one model to another model. You're just flying from one place to another in a single cohesive engine, right? I think that's the power that
Yep.
you bring here. A single cohesive engine where all your models are brought in. The models are whatever they are. They could be LiDAR point clouds. They could be engineering drawings. As long as they can be imported into this engine, that's all that matters, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so
It's
then
a
moving
single source of truth, I guess.
exactly the single source of truth where you have all your models, which is and a single interface to interact with all of them again.
Yep.
That's the really powerful part of it. That single interface that you're unifying to get all those things. Because otherwise, we can always jump from one application to another. Here's an application. Okay,
Right.
let's go to the other one. View that. No,
Yeah.
you want to see everything and how they
Yeah.
all align in one interface. That's the power that I see here. And then obviously
Yeah.
the ability to walk around your models on scale, visualize and see some other things that you may not be able to do it in a different program.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at WebODM, for instance, I love WebODM, and for everyone on the call, there's many things I cannot share, but we're working on integrating some parts of WebODM into our workflow, where we're making a part of the globe viewer and also the live viewer have photogrammetry capabilities, but packed with AI. I can only say just as much for now, but basically we're envisioning not only being able to visualize what you've already processed, but being able to also process tile and load that data in here. And just to speak towards the last part of what Tariq was saying regarding needing different viewers, if you actually go to WebODM right now and you look at some of the frequently asked questions, and some people ask about, oh, how do I view the data? They have a really great window to view um, your model once it's been processed. But there's like, I think 3 or 4 different software recommendations to view different things. So sometimes you want to open a point cloud, you're using something. You want to open a 3D model, you're using something. You want to open a CAD
Yeah,
model.
yeah,
It's like, and you need 4 different subscriptions. It can get really out of hand. But using DataSmith's pipeline, this is in Unreal, we can bring all of these data sets into one place, and you don't have to worry about where they're coming from. What In fact, I think if it's this where you see this menu here that says DataSmith, this is really the pipeline that we want to build to bring raw CAD models. But in the future, it's going to be 3D tiles, so that no matter how minimal your computing power is, because that information is being streamed just like these Google tiles, right? They're not actually in memory. You can run the application. So if I'm not in New York, any data I have in New York is not showing up because I'm not there. It's not being streamed. If I'm not in California, any data that I have there is not being streamed. So I could have thousands and thousands of models sort of geo-referenced, and they only show up when I need them to show up, when I'm close to them, when I'm looking at them, or when I toggle them on. I think that way we can really control, technically almost having an entire city in here, right?
Because you're
We
just
got,
streaming the data that you need to
it's
visualize
basically
at
streaming
that
as
point.
you walk through. So
Exactly.
there's a bunch of things we want to drop in here. We also have a Discord. So if you download the application today, or if you're interested in the viewer, reach out to us. We can make a build for you. There is also a studio version of this, and this is really where we work with you or your client to make a custom build for you. So why would that be interesting? If you needed a project specifically and you needed a specific feature, or you needed to embed some kind of data that's not available in runtime, that means in the installer, we can go into the editor, package this up for you, brand it if you want. And like I said, if you wanted the avatar to take your name, that's, we could create a custom studio package. But that's something that's not just available to download, right? That's something we gotta talk to you about, see what the scope of your package is, and we package a new project for you. But out of the
So
box, this is the Globe Viewer, and you can use it. And we're hoping, by the end of the year, early next year, we can start having a V1 for the marketplace where you can actually sign up, start loading up your data sets, create a store, share it with people, and whoever wants to visit your data can visit it, and see it and potentially buy it, or license to use it.
So
So
let's let's
there's,
let, let's talk
yeah.
about that a bit more. I want to just get in just a little bit into that, right? So you have three products right now. You have the viewer, the standard viewer. You have the globe viewer,
Mhm.
which has the georef stuff. You have the studio, which is the globe viewer, but it's a customized version where you bring in the client's different assets, and you customize it for specifically for that client, right? Or the different assets that they want, and different customizations. And then you
Yep.
have and then the bigger vision is the marketplace, right? So the marketplace, as I just wanted to just get into this because I think this is really interesting. This is more of a, I think it's a visionary part of where you guys are going to, where uh, not only do you, let's say as a drone pilot, I'm making a model of some area, right? I make a model, I make a very intricate model. Great. How do I sell that? How do I monetize that? Right.
Hmm.
And so what you can do is, as a drone pilot, you can make a model of something very, very accurately, perfectly georeferenced, etc. Then, in this virtual marketplace, you could put your model out there, and anybody who wants to import that model into their engine, such that they have, your whatever model that you created, you get some sort of a monetization based off of that, right? And that's really
Yep.
powerful in terms of, if think about it this way, like, as drone pilots, you're always looking for work, right? Hey, what's my next gig? Where do I have to model? Where do I have to fly? What do I need to do? This reverses that paradigm. Instead of looking for work, you can now start go and you can now go and model different areas of the world, different
Yep.
sections, and put them in this marketplace proactively, right? So I
Yep.
think that really changes the whole game of how drone pilots, you can monetize this thing, because now you're proactively
Absolutely.
modeling, proactively putting it out, and then proactively making money out of it.
And that's recurring, right? When I think that word proactively that you just said is the key word, right? When you fly a job for a client, a lot of time, after that completion of that job, they own that data technically, right? They get
Yes.
it from you, they pay you whatever they pay you, done deal, boom, that's it,
Yeah.
right? But what if a situation where you just happen to be the guy who were just captured, something before a natural disaster, right? People need to know what it used to look like, and now that attribution is to you, just like we have this data attribution right now to Google Landsat. You could have that attribution, and instead of giving a license to one person to use it, it could be multiple people, right?
Yep. Yep.
This, imagine how much this would aid research. What we're looking at right now is satellite imagery. Kind of looks crappy, but if you DJI with a P1 sensor or one of these really good drones, you're capturing these really high resolution. And again, it's not just photogrammetry model, thermal maps, lidar point cloud, right? Where it could be a monument or specific site, and that's associated to you. I mean, I live in Vegas, and there are times when it's just cool to look at Lake Mead. It's our lake here that's drying up.
Yep.
We kind of just
Yep.
want to look at what the water was in 1980, right? And you take the slider back and be like, oh wow, there used to be a lot of water in the
Yeah.
1980s, and now there is not. So
Yeah.
20 years from now, you never know. You could capture data from from a specific place at a specific time, and it just happens to be that you are the only person who's associated with that data set.
Yeah.
And depending on who requires it, and I think it also brings the cost of getting geospatial, right? If you spend all this amount of money capturing lidar information and it's only for a specific client, you're going to charge
Yeah.
premium fees because you're
Yeah.
doing it once. But if you are capturing that data and you know that potentially 10 people will pay for this, or 10 people
Right.
buy this, you could discount it, right?
Exactly.
Instead of selling it for $10,000, you can sell it for $1,000,
I
right?
think. I think.
So yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I mean, I think that's really the power I see here is, yes, you have a globe viewer, fine. You have a way to, again, it's very powerful. The concept of integrating all your assets into one view, right? That's great. The real next step is comes out. Okay, let's push it out and really, change the way drone, you know, drone jobs are being held out right now. Right now, folks are
Yep.
going and looking for jobs. No, reverse it the other way. Make a model of your neighborhood, put it out there.
Yep.
And again, these models can be in a timeline, right? You can make a model now, you can make a model later on. Imagine a
Yep.
construction
Yep.
site where you have every month you're making the same model over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, monetize it out. And I think that's a marketplace where you can search for models, search for areas, look at the different models that came out at different timelines, see how things change. And as you use as a client, if I import things in models created by someone into my program, I pay for it. A very
Yeah.
simple model of, similar to YouTube. You have people making YouTube videos, all sorts of stuff, then they get
Yep.
hits and they monetize. Same concept, very similar concept here. I think it's super powerful when we get to that stage. And I'm really,
Yeah.
really, I just want to return, I'm really excited about this part specifically when you're going to this marketplace with one unified view where you can bring in all sorts of different models, not only drones, CAD, BIM, Osarodion and his team can import in, bring all those in and then put them into a marketplace where people can use them.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an ambitious goal. There is work. It's definitely not impossible. Trust me, we're already working towards this, and this is why we're releasing these things in, I guess, in phases, right? It kind of just makes sense for people to understand the viewer, understand game engines, start working with the globe, and eventually the marketplace. A lot of those features for the marketplace, most of it's really going to be back end, right? User authentication, data attribution, how we tile the data. We're working on it. And I cannot be more excited. This is what we initially envisioned. Our company came out of a school competition. The
Yep.
marketplace was what we envisioned during that competition, and it sold to people, right? They really saw, scientists, educators, architects, they all saw the need for something like this. You jump into Google Earth, you cannot download the data, you can't use it for yourself, right? And even if you
Exactly.
wanted to, I'm pretty sure no reliable engineer would want to use Google's data
Yep. Yep. Yep.
for design work. Technically, most will not. So but instead you could start, it's also a marketplace where you could seek. It's not even just for geospatial data creators, it's also for users, right? If I go somewhere and there is no data sets associated to that area, I could just request it, right? And
Exactly.
pilots who live around that area could go out and capture it. So I think the future of geospatial, you cannot leave. And everyone's pushing for AI, automated, drone flights, but I still think people have to be involved, right? And drone pilots are here to stay, even though they might go down in the numbers, but still, it might be a drone pilot controlling a fleet of drones, right? You can map out with BIV laws. This is
Yep.
going to be way, way more exciting,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
With BIV laws and flying over people, once we have laws that are really, sort of putting those out and letting people know when they're doing things right, you could potentially map out an entire city, right? And do it weekly
Yep.
and do it daily, depending on your power and your resources. But being able to have a platform to put that data in the hands of people, right? Again, like area intelligence at your fingertips, just with your mouse
Yep.
and a keyboard, you can go anywhere with your phone and download that data, right? And use
Exactly.
it for what you
Exactly.
need to use it for. So we'll see where we're at maybe a year from now. We're excited to keep building. Our team is slowly growing. We build this tool as as long as doing an agile workflow. So we kind of have to work with clients to bring in resources that we need to continue to build the installer, right? So that's kind of our business model as of right now with software development, because we're a fully bootstrapped company, and we're very passionate about what we do. A team of engineers, myself, we're dedicated a lot of time into just working on this, and we cannot wait to bring this first immersive geospatial marketplace to fruition and for
Perfect.
with you guys.
So let's at the end of this, I'd like to, in the description of the video when it goes to YouTube, we'll have all the links for the downloads, first of all, right? So we can put all that there. We'll have the component information as well as any contact information that you need to contact Osarodion on this. Yeah, so this is good. We'll have all that information for you guys to download or to see it. With that, is there anything else that you'd want to talk about this? I think we have gone through most of the stuff.
No. Thanks everyone for jumping on the call. I know we will be having more of these moving forward. Thank you guys for listening. Please go ahead to our website and download when Tariq puts this up. Download the live viewer. Please use it. Try it out with your data set. Let us know. Join our Discord. If you're interested in getting the globe viewer, reach out to us and we will. The price it's now on our website, and honestly, with just creating your own token, you can use it. I think it's a very competitive price for what's out there and what the tool can do, so we can make a build. It's time to jump on this ecosystem. Unreal Engine Fest is actually today, the festival for Unreal Engine, and they're having a major discussion on Unreal for geospatial. So we're excited to be building on that platform, and I know they have a lot of exciting things coming up for the game engine itself. So only, the sky's the limit as to where we could take this software, but we cannot do it without a community. And we're really looking forward to building that community with everyone. And thank you again for jumping in.
Awesome, and it's good to have you again, and hope we'll have you again earlier than 1 year, hopefully in a few months, 6 months or something, seeing how you guys are doing. I'd love to see how this, how you guys make progress on this. Very cool stuff. Again, thank you for jumping in on this tech talk. All right, we'll stop it here.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.